Hello and welcome to Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and today I'm here with Sean, the guy who sews. He is another awesome YouTuber that I enjoy watching when I get the time to watch. And we're going to have just a quick little chat today and talk about our passion, quilting. Okay, Sean, hi, how are you today?
Doing well.
Doing well? Awesome, awesome. So, do we want to jump right in, or do you want to tell me about yourself, or
Wait, let's get stuck into it.
okay, all right. Now, what kind of quilter do you consider yourself? Like there's modern, traditional, scrappy, or do you just you're one of these people that just love it all?
I like it all, but I think, based on what I've done over the last couple of years, I'm more a traditional piecer, but I do tend to enjoy more bright and bold and modern fabrics. But I do enjoy scrappy projects, and it's something I want to do more of in the future. So yeah, I want to try it all, but I think if I had to categorize myself, it would be traditional with modern fabrics.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Yeah, that is sometimes the blocks with the modern fabric sometimes are just amazing, isn't it? It's just like,
Yeah.
get those really bright colors going, or the African using African prints or Australian prints. I have a small collection of Australian prints that I just love, but I keep them around and pet them instead of use them. So,
Uh, same issue.
yeah. So do you just do quilts for friends, for yourself, for charity? Like how
A
let
little
us
bit. Um, I have got two that's in progress for charity. One is for a local pet rescue here in our area in Virginia. It's called Rough Road Rescue, and they just do a wonderful job. And I'm working on I've just got to baste it, bind it, and quilt it, and then I'll send it to them, and hopefully they can use it for like a fundraiser or something like that. And
yeah.
then there's another quilt that's for and I cannot remember the name of the charity, unfortunately, but it's a summer camp for children with disabilities. And as part of their camp, they get a quilt to take home with them. And so that's something I've also just have to put the quilt top. I've done the quilt top. I just have to put everything else together on that as well. And then I also make them for friends. I keep them from, I make some for myself. And then I also really, really enjoy doing t-shirt quilts for people.
Oh yeah. The t-shirt quilts are so cool. They're so heavy though. I can't. Do you have a long arm? Do you have a
No,
long arm? No, you just do them on your domestic?
I do it on my domestic, but I
Oh,
try to keep whenever I can. I try to keep it at lap size. I've done some queen size. I've done a queen size one in the past. I have a king size one in progress for our bed, and I don't know if I'm going to try and attempt it myself or if I'm going to find one of my long arm friends to do it for me. But yeah, I try and keep it at lap size whenever I can.
yeah, because I've done only one king ever on my sewing machine, my 301A Singer. And
Uh,
I had to nap between those really long seams because I did it as quilt as you go, and it kept getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And the more you add to it, the heavier it gets, right? So it was like, oh my. So
yeah,
yeah, no, that's
it,
really cool. I also do a lot of quilting for charities and that too. And I tend to donate. I try to donate as many as I can because we have a couple of women's shelters here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and they the women and the families, the kids that come into those shelters, they need a lot of little extra help and a lot of love because of
right.
the situation they've just witnessed, and they're sometimes you need to just kind of give them something that they it's kind of like a hug, but
Absolutely.
yeah, but that's kind of where I go to. And we have also done a few quilts and valor blocks and stuff like that too. I think those are important. Those are important, charities to work for, right? So
Much so.
yeah. So what was a special heartfelt quilt have you ever made? A special one that just touched your heart when you made it?
There's two that spring to mind. The first one would be a darkston quilt that I made for my sister. It was for her first child 2 years ago, and I made a series of 8 little darkstons on this quilt, and it was in a rainbow arrangement because it was a rainbow baby. And
Yeah.
then the second one is the koala quilt that a lot of my viewers know and love. It's actually for my sister's second child, which will be due any week now.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, and that was just a lot of fun to put together. I still have to quilt. Yeah, it's like the story of my life. I've got a lot of quilt tops made, but I need to go ahead and quilt them.
Yes. I think we all get stuck somewhere in the quilting, right? I tend to get stuck at the quilting too. Like I can sit in peace for hours and hours on end, and then all of a sudden I've got all these blocks and I put them all together into a quilt top and oh, I gotta quilt it now.
Yeah. I definitely think I'm a better. I much prefer to piece than I do to quilt. So
Well, I tell people it's not a bad thing to quilt by check. Pay somebody else to do it. That's not a problem. But
it's always an option.
yeah, that's always a good option, right? So what are you, because you've got a YouTube channel, what are your plans for 2023?
I want to do more scrappy projects. I mean, you've really inspired me to go down that route because we all end up with so many scraps, and I don't want to throw them away. And I've done some, it's what I feel is neat stuff with scraps in the past, and then I want to do more block tutorials and more block designs for myself that I can share with my viewers.
Yeah. It's interesting how when you start sharing more stuff or free stuff with your viewers, the more viewers you tend to get, and it's kind of like, I know for myself, Free Pattern Friday is a big hit. My husband, when I first mentioned it to him, in June or July, he was like, but all your patterns are free, babe. And I'm like, well, but Free Pattern Friday is different because it's free. And it's like, and he just, yeah, he didn't get it. Neither did I really, but yeah, Free Pattern Friday is really popular for my channel. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So do you have so what made you start to quilt? What was that spark, that creative spark that got you going and into quilting or becoming a fiber artist, or tell us your story of your start.
okay. So it certainly was not high school. I did take home ec in high school. It was required in the seventh and eighth grade, and I obviously wasn't from that. But it was actually from the State Fair of Virginia. We went there one year to go see the animals and everything else, and they had a quilt show. And I saw a lot of the quilts there, and I just loved the patterns and the fabrics and everything else. And I was like, I want to give that a go. And apparently, I said it enough times over the next 3 or 4 months that on Christmas Day, my wife had a sewing machine in a big box waiting for me to open. And then it's gone from there. So yeah, I got the inspiration from the state fair, and just haven't looked back.
Isn't it wonderful to have a spouse support our creative, like our creative spirit? I mean,
Oh,
isn't
very
that
much.
just the best possible thing ever? Yeah, I give a lot of credit to my husband. We had friends over and we were talking about this, and I was telling them about all the stuff that my husband does, because he does all the camera work, all the lighting, all the editing, and all putting, data file transfers, because he's the IT guy and he likes working with cameras. And then they kind of went, oh, he does all of this stuff. And what do you do? It was kind of, what do you mean? What do I do? Yeah. So, but it is lovely to have a very supportive, person in your life, cheering you on to, yeah, go make that quilt. That'll be fun. That'll look great. So,
Yeah, I mean, to me, like you said, like it makes the world a difference to have someone, whether it's a spouse or a family member or someone close to you that lives with you to help you out, because it makes the world a difference. My wife does not quilt, but she is a knitter and not a crocheter. So yeah, she knits, so she understands the crafty side. And but yeah, it's so awesome to have someone that's by your side and really in a partner in whatever capacity that is, whether it's just by cheering you on or like in your case, where he does all the techie stuff for you. I mean,
yeah, I know.
yeah,
The only thing he makes me do that's techie is download it to YouTube, because he just doesn't like the format there, but oh well.
yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, I know. It's one of those things that everybody's got to. Have you have you been struggling since you started your YouTube channel? And I'm going to admit I struggle with this a lot. Time management. Do you find your time management now, because you have a YouTube channel? do you find you struggle trying to get other things done, or are you just one of those people, you stay focused and you work through and you move through projects, or
I've gotten a lot more done since I started the YouTube channel, but that was one of my main reasons to start it, because I watched a lot of knitting um, podcasts and stuff on YouTube with my wife, and they always seem to get stuff done. So I was like, well, maybe if I start a channel, I'll actually get stuff done. And it's, to me, every week, because I do a weekly podcast, I find it's inspirational, because sometimes it'll be like Friday or Saturday and I've got nothing done. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to just sit here and stare at the camera for 10 minutes saying I've got nothing done. So I better go ahead and get something done. So yeah, I find I get more done since I started this journey.
yeah, well, part of me agrees with that, and part of me is like, time management, really? No, I find I struggle sometimes with time management, because I got so many ideas coming, and it's like, no, 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 and I try and scribble them down as fast as I can, but I mean, sometimes it's impossible to do it all, right? I mean, I simply can't do it all. So is
Right.
there one message that you would want to give a new quilter starting out? What would be your best advice for that new quilter?
Start simple. When I started this journey, I did not have the advantage of anybody around me that knew how to quilt or sew. So I was learning everything from scratch from YouTube. And I started off with a 6.5 inch patchwork quilt, like 6.5 inch block patchwork quilt. I started off real simple. And I'm so glad I did, because it allowed me the opportunity to learn how to do the basics. I mean, you can't run before you learn how to walk. So yeah, definitely start simple. Get the basics down pat, get your 1/4 inch seam allowance and so forth. And then just gradually work on different things, like try new stuff. If something interests you, give it a go. But yeah, start simple, so that way you at least have the foundation
Yeah.
down pat.
Yeah, keep it simple, and keep it, yeah, when I teach a jelly roll race first, because it
Hmm.
talks to them about how they cross over their stuff, and then the 1/4 inch seam, and it's that long first seam, and and it's very forgiving, even if you, let's say you don't, but then they learn, okay, this is a, 1/4 inch seam, you have to do a really long one, and then so you learn actually the hands, where your hands have to be to make that perfect 1/4 inch seam, right? So they do learn it, but and then
Yeah, I
to
thought
quilt
that,
it
but
and bind it, and you're done. It's like, and they're like, they walk out of here a couple lessons later and they have a quilt, and they're like, how did that happen?
yeah, I'd
Yeah.
never thought of doing a jelly roll race as a first quilt, but that's a brilliant idea.
Well, that's just, it's easy because you can teach them how to do 4 patches, or, like you say, the oversized, simpler blocks, the beginner blocks, but they still have to learn how to do that 1/4 inch seam. Otherwise, anything else they do after, if they've got that 1/4 inch seam down, then they can do pretty much anything afterwards. So yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. I figured they were fun. And you could throw anything at it too, right? Like you can put any kind of fabric in there that you want. So I don't
and it's
know.
called too, which is nice. So it's even better.
What advice would you give a beginner about color?
Go with what you want. I mean, some people like demuted, some people like, other stuff. Yeah, just, it's your hobby, it's your fun, it's your money. So buy what you want. I mean, I like bright and bold, but not everybody does. So yeah,
Yes.
just, yeah, do what speaks to you.
Yeah. See, where I tell them about color, go try and talk to somebody that that already quilts, and play in their scrap box. You learn lots about color, because you're putting together stuff you wouldn't have bought, right? Like you wouldn't be able to buy now, and all of a sudden you have to kind of make stuff work, right? And
Hmm.
that's how I teach color. I give them the scrap boxes. I said, "Okay, make something," and they're like,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
okay, put colors together, and there's also different cheats that I show them too, but yeah, it's yeah, it's intimidating for beginners when they, okay, what color? Well, what color do you like? Like, what color combinations do you like? And they kind of freeze up. They just like, I don't know, kind of thing, right? So I always feel for that. That one's hard. it's paralyzing sometimes how people fear putting color palettes together, right? So,
Yeah.
but once they
Um,
realize all the colors go together, they're like, oh, you know, which is, I mean, basic, you might have preferences for your colors, but all of the colors appear together somewhere in nature. So it's like, it doesn't really matter.
Exactly. And I think a couple other things you could think of too is pre-cuts are great because they're all in the same line. So like your layer cakes, your charm squares, or you can
Yeah.
tell how much I use them, are great. And then if you go to your local quilt shops, a lot of them tend to arrange it by designer. So if you find a certain line, if you just go down the, you might like, you pick 3 or 4, you might want to, the pink, the green, the blue, and the yellow, whatever it is in that line. If you stay in the same line or same designer, that's a good way to stay as well.
Yeah. I that's where I buy like those big stacks of fat quarters because I'm not fond of the pre-cuts, and I'm really not fond of the little pink edges on some of the pre-cuts because not all manufacturers make the same 5-inch square, right?
Right.
Because of the pink edges, and a lot of times beginners are like, which do I use, the top of the point or the bottom of the point? Like it confuses them, where if they have a nice straight line, it's easier for them to figure out how to do that 1/4 inch seam, right? So, and I'm not sure I would put all the same fabric from one design or one pack into one quilt. I I prefer a little more mixed, but I'm scrappy quilter, so that's.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I would never take a big stack of fat quarters and put it all into one quilt. I take them and I spread them out through my color stash because I sort my fabric by color and then pull from wherever, so they would never appear together in a quilt. So
Okay.
it's me.
Yeah. Everyone's different, so that
Everybody's different, yeah.
makes it great. So
So do you have any last words that you want to relay to people or anything like that? No last message?
just thank you for having me here. It was great, being able to have it, spend a few minutes with you. I mean, I've always enjoyed watching your channel and seeing your, scrappy projects. And I just encourage a few people to, if they want to try something, just give it a go. Like pull out some scrap fabric for the first time or two, because I find when I do my new stuff, it doesn't always turn out the first time or even the second. But if you just play with your scraps and just give it a go, I mean, it's practice makes perfect. And just give it a try. And if you need help, just reach out to somebody and ask for assistance, because there's so much experience and knowledge out there that people are just more than willing to share.
Yeah, yeah, they do, and they are, and a lot of I think sometimes too, like with myself, if I can go and encourage people or say something kind, or to kind of like boost somebody up, right?
Yeah.
It improves my mood too. So it's a selfish act. I go say really nice things to a bunch of people and encourage them, and I feel really great, so.
Yeah, it's a two-way street for
Yeah, it
sure.
is. It is. Yeah, just by boosting up somebody. Anyways, shall we wrap this up? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I hope you guys have a fabulous week ahead and everything goes right for you. And Sean, your final words?
just happy sewing, and yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. All right, bye guys.
Hey.
My husband and I would love to thank you for coming along with us on our little fun adventure here that we're having. We do have a Facebook group now, and that Facebook group is got some very, very talented quilters in there, and we love sharing and posting pictures and commenting, and it's been a lot of fun. And the advantage of the Facebook group is sometimes I drop patterns in there early, so you kind of get a hint as to what is coming next. After the nosegay sew along, we're going to be doing curves boot camp right away. So we'll get you sewing those curves, and it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of interesting little blocks that we've got to work on. But we would like you to share, like, and subscribe. Telling your friends about us and letting them know that you kind of like our channel, that means so much to us here. So you take care. You have a fabulous week ahead. Okay, bye.